Hi, it's Patty again, and I guess I can bring it a little bit closer. So I was talking to you before about me coming back online to the land of the living. I'm kind of angling it this way because I think I was getting some glare from my glasses. So with the online A&P course, the human A&P course, the like I said, oh shoot, did this just disappear? Okay, there it is. The course is meant to go in the order of the chapter numbers. And there is a book. So there's a book included in the course. Well, I shouldn't say it's included. There's a book that can be purchased that follows along with the coursework. The book is not mandatory, but it's recommended. Not only can you use the book if you choose to do so, and it's a great resource, but also at the end of all of the video lecture material, towards the bottom of that group of what's included for each chapter, you will have review sheets and PDFs of what you see in the lecture. So if there's images of body parts that I discuss or physiological processes, you get those images included. So what I recommend to students is that they print out that PDF, and then they can use that to take notes on as they're watching the video lecture. So if I'm describing something on the screen, they can make notes about it. And the review questions and the partial outline are meant to follow along with the lecture material, so that as you progress through those lecture materials, you check with the questions, you answer them, and that way you can get an idea of what types of questions could be on the assessment. Every single chapter has an assessment. A little bit closer. And those chapter assessments are graded. So once you take it, it's automatically graded. And then when all of the chapter assessments have been calculated, if your overall grade in the course is at least 75% or better, you will get a certificate of completion. So I take the average of every one of the chapter assessments. Now I'm thinking, because I want to make this a rigorous course, I'm thinking of having kind of a final exam that I will provide, that the students will mail back to me or email back to me. I can make it a document, and there will be essay questions on that, and I will grade your written work. So that may be added in the future. Right now, that is not in place as something available to earn that certificate of completion, but that's in the works. So I do believe like a final exam, and it's all going to be work that you do at home. So keep that in mind, but I really want to, ascertain how well you're understanding the material, and if I ask questions about homeostatic mechanisms or, physiological processes or even anatomical structures, that I feel that you have a gist of understanding it, or that you kind of get it. So, I want the students that complete this course to not only be able to communicate with other healthcare professionals, but have that foundational understanding of how the human body works, so that when they're talking to their own clients, they can really explain things more clearly. And it's not really about knowing everything. I mean, I shouldn't say it like that. It's not about proving what you know. It's about being able to explain to other people what is going on with them. Because when someone comes to you and they're ill, they have symptoms that they want to reverse. They want to get their body back to a state of homeostasis. You, as a detoxification specialist, need to be able to communicate to them what's going on in their bodies. And that will give them the faith that you know what you're doing, but it will also give them the faith in their own body, that their body and its innate wisdom knows how to bring itself back to a state of balance. And that's really what we're trying to do here. As detoxification specialists, as naturopaths, as natural healers, we're not here to, make false promises. We're not here to suppress symptoms or diagnose. That's all what allopathy does. And I'm not trying to diminish allopathic medicine in any way, shape, or form. I think it has a lot of benefits. I've mentioned this many times. If there's an emergency, emergency medicine kind of is the place to be in allopathy. Emergency medicine and certain emergency surgeries, they can really keep people alive when they've experienced trauma, physical trauma. But as far as their maintenance of chronic disorders, chronic pathologies, they really are causing a lot more harm than benefit. And I see it all around me. I see these people that are so dependent on pharmaceutical agents. And people, we don't have a pharmaceutical agent deficiency. What we have a deficiency of is balance and a deficiency of sunlight and natural fresh foods, fruits and vegetables in their natural uncooked state, water-rich fruits where the root system of the fruit tree is naturally filtering the water from the earth and mixing in with it the phytochemicals, the nutrients, the simple sugars, the amino acids, the fatty acids. All of the major macronutrients are present in the plant. And not only does it nourish us, but it cleanses us. So we need to be able to communicate that to people. And simply by getting rid of that which should not be in our body comes back in alignment. And it naturally releases that which was congested within its interstitial spaces, that which was impacting the health of various organs and tissues throughout the body. When that congestion builds up and those cells become squeezed out, they can't receive the oxygen. They can't receive the simple sugars and the amino acids. They can't get that nourishment, those building blocks from which they produce energy and other molecules that they're producing functionally. Like, for instance, it's of a pancreatic cell and needs to produce the hormone insulin, which is a peptide hormone. So it needs amino acids for that. So we need to make sure that those tissue spaces are cleansed enough to allow for proper delivery of nutrients and vitamins and minerals and everything else that the cell needs, but more importantly, that we're allowing for the release of waste products, because those accumulated waste products that get stuck in those interstitial spaces, that's truly where the heart of a lot of our physiological problems begin. Hi, Courtney, how are you? So that's what we need to cleanse out. And, healing is pretty darn simple. Honestly, in my opinion, diet is where everybody should begin. And even if you don't do a diet, just do a water fast. Do a 24-hour water fast. Hi, Dawn. How are you? And let's hope that in doing these types of cleansing modalities, that you're allowing those interstitial spaces to kind of naturally release that which they're holding on to. That's going to allow the body to return back to a state of balance. So that's what we really need to promote. And so, you don't need a lot of money to buy all of these fancy things. You can get cleansing, you can attain cleansing and health just by simply, staying away from that which should not be in your diet. A lot of these processed foods that have all of these fake chemicals within them, that's what we need to get rid of, because that's not nutritious. If you read an ingredient, pretty much anything that has an ingredient label is probably something that you shouldn't be consuming, because fresh fruits and vegetables directly taken from the earth, from the tree, from the plant, they don't come with an ingredient label. They come with everything that you need in your body, and that's really where we need to that's where we need to focus. So as detoxification specialists, as natural healers, that's what I want you to be able to communicate to your clients, is I want you to be able to tell them what's going on with their system physiologically. And when we can get the body again back into that state of balance, the body knows how to get rid of that which shouldn't be there, which is really the foundation of what a lot of diseases are. It's simple. It might take time. Just because healing can be simple when we follow natural law and the laws of nature with regards to allowing the body to heal doesn't mean that it's a quick fix. Quick fixes are in the world of allopathic medicine. They can give you a drug and that can suppress a symptom immediately. But is it healing you? Is it addressing the root cause? And that's probably not taking place. So true healing takes time. You need to give your body time to eliminate, time to cleanse. So allow those channels of elimination to open up. So that includes proper bowel movements. That includes obviously the kidneys and releasing internal waste products through the urine. So getting the kidneys to filter. That includes keeping the skin pores, the sweat pores and glands active and open. Sweating is very healing because the skin has often been referred to as, oh, Marcy's here. Hi, Marcy. Marcy's a wealth of information when it comes to helping the body heal. But the skin, the pores, when those channels are open, we have elimination. And as Dr. Morse has often said, the skin is kind of the third kidney, because when those channels are open, when we're sweating, when we're releasing through the skin, we are eliminating. So again, the bowels, the kidneys, the urine, sweating, breathing is another way that we eliminate. The main gas we exhale is carbon dioxide. And did you know that many of us are shallow breathers? And carbon dioxide, when it's held within our blood, it's converted to carbonic acid, which creates excessive acids in the blood. And many of us are already too acidic. So we don't need to add more acids to our blood. So by deep breathing, by exhaling, by getting all of that carbon dioxide out, we're actually creating a more alkaline environment. So anything we can do to kind of shift that natural tendency we have to create more acids, anything we can do to kind of go to more of a natural pH, especially in our blood. And the natural pH environment of our blood is anywhere between 7.35 to 7.45. It's very tightly regulated. So we have a lot of systems in place that help us to maintain that natural pH. But if we do become too acidic, which we have a tendency of doing, our bicarbonate system becomes maxed out. It can't deal with the excess acids. And so we start leaching alkaline minerals from our bodily tissues. So sodium, mostly calcium is going to be leached out. And there have been research articles that have shown that calcium has been included in what makes us more alkaline, but it's not healthy to steal calcium from our tissues. Calcium, yes, is found in the bones, and that's where most of the calcium as a mineral is found in our body, but we also have calcium in our bodily tissues. And calcium maintains tissue strength. So it's not only structurally keeping the bones nice and strong, but it's also keeping our organs and our tissues in a proper shape. So when we leach too much calcium out of, let's say, the urinary bladder, or in females, the uterus, those organs fall from their natural position. And so women can experience a prolapsed uterus, for instance, sagging skin. So when the skin loses calcium, the skin becomes thinner. It bruises more easily. The nails become thinner and ridged. That happens when the nails are losing calcium. So we see calcium acting as a buffer, and that's again when the bicarbonate system is overwhelmed. So it's no longer able to maintain our normal bodily pH, and that's because we're consuming too many acids and we're not allowing the metabolic acids that are created during normal physiological processes to exit our tissue spaces. So they get stuck in the interstitial spaces. They create a state of acidosis. When that acidosis is prolonged, that can create inflammation. When inflammation is prolonged, when the inflammation is not being corrected, then that leads to tissue change. And how does tissue change present itself? Well, that's typically what ends up as a diagnosis of some sort of dis-ease. You know, though, when you're going in that direction. So if you listen to your body, you don't have to get that far. You can make the proper changes before getting to that state of dis-ease. You can say, hey, I've got this thing that's irritating me. Maybe I need to do something about it. And a lot of what we need to do about it is very simple. All you need to really do is cleanse. You need to get on the diet that is the most cleansing, which is going to be fruits, berries, and melons. The fruits are probably the most healing of them all. So whenever you need to detoxify, and I'm talking about detoxification and cleansing, that's what is going to address any problem that you're experiencing health-wise. I'm not talking about regeneration, though. So when you've gotten through the cleansing phase, then we start rebuilding and regenerating. It's all included as a healing modality, or a healing sequence of events. But you've got to get rid of the bad stuff first before you can start rebuilding the good stuff. And so, a lot of people that, when I tell them, oh, go on, a week or two of just nothing but grapes and see how your body responds to that. People are kind of, perplexed. Like, I can't live off of grapes. I'm not asking you to live off of grapes. I'm asking you to give your body a break and do nothing but grapes for a while. I think the deepest cleansing is a water fast, honestly. I mean, water fasts are very powerful, but a water fast should be supervised because you really need to rest. You really need to let go of all of your responsibilities and let your body just relax. So with water fasting, that's what you're doing. And I know there's a big craze right now with, people are on these ketogenic diets. The best ketogenic diet, honestly, is a water fast because you go into ketosis when you're water fasting. The worst way to go into ketosis is to be consuming dead animals because protein that's been cooked is quite acidic. And ketones that are created during a ketogenic diet, when you're burning excessive fat, those are acidic. So you're adding acid to acid. You're adding the acids from the animal flesh that you're consuming, plus the acids from the ketone, and you're taking your body into a very acidic state. And what happens when you go into an acidic state? Well, you create, again, you're adding to the inflammatory load in your body. Your inflammatory chemicals will probably go up. So, you really need to kind of look at that more carefully. So again, water fasting, if you want the optimal ketogenic diet, water fasting, because then when you're doing nothing but water for an extended period of time, you're burning your own body fat. And yes, you create ketones, and your body's using those ketones as a fuel source, but it's not meant to be long-term, and it is cleansing. But again, the ketogenic diet with regards to eating nothing but animal protein and a lot of fat, that's just adding to your inflammation. So it's not a health-promoting diet. It may help you lose weight. So if weight loss is your only primary concern, yeah, a ketogenic diet probably will help you reach that goal. But at what cost? At what cost is your body going to be losing weight? Another thing that helps you lose weight is, getting really sick, becoming diabetic. Diabetics, right before when they reach full diabetes, they lose a lot of weight because their bodies can't use glucose as a fuel source. So it's burning their own fat, and their weight drops. So weight loss does not mean health. I mean, it could be a goal that people have, and that's fine. And so as a detox specialist, as a health coach, as a naturopath, I've got clients that all they want is they want to feel better energy, and they want some weight loss. But let's do this in a way that's going to be health promoting, because that really is the end goal, is to keep the body as healthy as possible and not to add to acidosis, not to add to inflammation, not to add to tissue change and dysfunction. because we have too much of that in our society. And that's making the pharmaceutical companies very, very rich, because they create the drugs that suppress the symptoms associated with those tissue changes and that loss of tissue function. So really the goal is to cleanse. And if you can water fast, that's great. There are places in America or even South America I know of where you can sign up for an extended water fast. I think Lauren Lockman, he runs Tanglewood in Costa Rica, and that's a water fasting clinic. He's a natural hygienic practitioner, so he practices natural hygiene, which is basically using a natural, healthy diet and sun as your lifestyle. But water fasting is used therapeutically to help people cleanse and heal. But not everybody can afford an extended water fast. I wouldn't, I can't professionally recommend you water fasting at home, because I really do believe it should be monitored. When I was in medical school, I worked with Dr. Joel Furman at his water fasting clinic, and we were monitoring our patients, taking their blood, analyzing it to make sure their blood work looked normal, because the body's physiology does change during a water fast. We were also monitoring vital signs, making sure the blood pressure is not getting too low, looking at all of the kind of the basic parameters you would look at to make sure a body is kind of in a healthy state or is maintaining a healthy state. Because when you're water fasting, your blood pressure will naturally drop. So you need to be careful getting up out of bed, because you might experience some dizziness. So you should be monitored with the water fast, okay? But again, it's the optimal ketogenic diet, because you're going into a state of ketosis and you're burning your own body fat. And when you do burn body fat, one thing that happens is that you release a lot of stored toxins, because that's how the body protects itself from toxic buildup. It stores it in fat. Fat is a wonderful buffer. It surrounds those things that we can't eliminate, and it just kind of gets stuck in the body, and it stays there until we're in a state where our body's wisdom tells us, okay, it's time to eliminate. But when you do eliminate, expect some symptoms, because that which was stored and tucked away was probably an irritant of some sort. And when you start releasing it into your bodily fluids and out, most likely out through your kidneys via the urine, you're going to experience the negative effects of those irritants again. And this is why a lot of people, when they switch to kind of a vegan diet, or they switch to a cleansing, high fruit, high vegetable cleansing diet, they have some negative symptoms, and it's very uncomfortable. But it's something you kind of have to go through. One thing I recommend to help mitigate those uncomfortable symptoms are herbs. Dr. Morse has wonderful herbs, and his are the ones that I typically recommend. We typically recommend herbs that support the kidneys, which are the organs that are primarily cleansing our internal bodily fluids. So by supporting the kidneys, or even going to a health food store and getting kidney supporting herbs. If you're an herbalist, you probably know what herbs help to support and cleanse the kidneys. So taking some of those during a detox, highly recommended. There are herbs that support the lymphatic system, helping with lymphatic flow. There are herbs that can support the bowels, because again, when we open up those channels of elimination, things come out. And the faster and the more strength we can use to support that cleansing elimination, the faster we're going to get rid of those symptoms that we feel when we switch to a cleansing diet. So that's the goal, right? So that's the goal when we're on a detox. So with that said, I kind of went off on a rant helping with how to help clients switch to a health promoting diet. But like I said, if you are a detoxification specialist or a health practitioner or a natural health coach, I highly recommend my online human anatomy and physiology course. It's the same course that I teach to my pre-health professional students. So my students going into medicine, going into nursing, going to become physicians, or even I've got pharmacy students that I teach. And all of these students need a foundational understanding of how the human body works. I want that to offer that to you all, especially those of you that are natural health coaches. But like I said, if you're going to sign up for my course, since I've had a few people ask about this, I recommend starting with chapter 1. That's where I start with my own students. We get that foundational material. We start with an introduction to human A&P. Then we progress to an overview of chemistry and biochemistry, and then an overview of cell biology. You need that foundational material because what is an organ? An organ is a bunch of cells with a couple of fluids passing through them. And what takes place within those cells? Biochemical reactions. So you need to have that biochemistry down. After we get through that introductory material, then we start with tissues, and then we progress there through the 11 major organ systems. We look at the integumentary system, which focuses on the skin and how the skin eliminates, how the skin functions, and things like vitamin D production. Then we look at the skeletal system, the bones. Then we get into the muscular system, all of the skeletal muscles that contract to help our bodies move. After the muscular system, we're looking at the nervous system, the brain, the spinal cord, all of the peripheral nervous, the autonomic nervous system, which covers or controls all of your organs. We look at that. After the nervous system, we look at the special senses, so how the eye works, how hearing works, and all of the other senses as well. From there, we get into the endocrine system, which looks at all of the major hormone-producing glands. And that's a really interesting organ system. So we're looking at the thyroid gland, the parathyroids, the ovaries, the testes, the pituitary gland, which is the master gland. And the master gland, the pituitary, is controlled by the hypothalamus, which is the master of the master. So all of those major hormone-secreting endocrine glands will be covered in a lot of detail. From there, we move on to the cardiovascular system. So I look at the blood and how we analyze the blood. I get a little bit into blood parameters, the plasma proteins, what we have in our blood plasma, including things like glucose, electrolytes, all of that. Also included in the cardiovascular system is the heart. So we get into the cardiac cycle, the path of blood through the heart, how it flows through the heart and where that blood is going, whether it's oxygenated or deoxygenated. From the heart, we look at then the blood vessels, the major systemic blood vessels throughout the body that are delivering what's in the blood. After we cover the cardiovascular system, then we get into the lymphatic system, which is, I know, a favorite organ system for a lot of students, especially those of you that are interested in Dr. Morse's work. But don't jump ahead to the lymphatic system. Build up to the lymphatic system. You need to know how all of those previous organ systems work before you jump into the lymphatic system, okay? Now, the way that I teach the lymphatic system is the way I teach it to my traditional pre-allopathic healthcare students. I don't teach it in the coursework as it stands right now, the way Dr. Morse teaches. But again, if you join my Human A&P for Detoxification Specialists Facebook group, I have those alternate explanations that align with Dr. Morse's teachings. So start with what other people are learning, other doctors and nurses. Start with their knowledge. And that way, when we compare it to how Dr. Morse describes it, you'll have a more foundational understanding of the lymphatic system as a whole. So that's what I would recommend that you do. So keep that in mind, okay? I think it's good to understand how the traditional textbooks teach the lymphatic system, but know that more and more information is coming out about the lymphatic system. So, you know, the University of Virginia recently discovered the glymphatic system in the brain and how the brain has its own lymphatic system, really. And that's kind of a new thing. We didn't know about this just 5-6 years ago. And that brings with it a whole nother level of what could be going on with the brain as far as the immune system is concerned. You know, and maybe there's a connection, who knows, with stimulating artificially immune responses in the body and how that might impact the brain. Case in point, an artificial stimulation of the immune response is what a vaccine is. And one of the possible, although it's never been clinically by allopaths connected, but a possibility of an outcome from a vaccination is a neurological disorder like autism. So yes, there's a lot of debate about autism and its connection to vaccines, but I've personally had 3 clients who shortly after, and it was all the same vaccine. I'm not saying this is the one that does all of the damage, but the 3 clients I worked with, their children all developed autism within weeks after receiving the MMR vaccination. And one of my clients, heartbreaking, his autism was just so sad. This poor little boy, I mean, they were in India, and the father was teaching, I think, in Japan, and they had to leave their apartment because the little boy kept banging his head because of the inflammation from that stimulation, that artificial stimulation of the immune response. So anyway, that's what's covered in the lymphatic system. Now, unfortunately, the way I teach the lymphatic system, yes, I teach how vaccines work, but I can't get into all of that more controversial material. So that's what my live Q&As are for. And that's what the ancillary material that I'll be adding to my Facebook group will be including. But I probably will add little snippets of videos that will be included in the course that discuss in more detail the normal workings of a vaccine. Okay, coming back to the course as it stands, after the lymphatic system, the next organ system that's covered, I believe, is the respiratory system. After the respiratory system, then I cover the digestive system. From the digestive system, then we move into the urinary system, and the urinary system includes the kidneys. Dr. Morris is a big supporter of kidney health because the kidneys are the primary organs that cleanse our internal bodily fluids, which include the blood and the lymph. So those fluids are cleansed by way of the kidneys. It's removing internal waste products, which end up being accumulated within the interstitial spaces. After the urinary system, I get into, actually, I think I need to add this chapter, but in my normal class, I talk about fluid, electrolyte, and acid-base balance in the body. So that's a very interesting chapter. After that, I cover the reproductive system. I first look at the male reproductive system, then the female reproductive system, and then finally we end with pregnancy and development, where I go through the pre-embryonic stages of gestation, then into the embryonic stage, and then fetal development, which is often an interesting topic. All of this is just the basics of a human A&P course. I plan to be adding additional courses, but the human A&P course is foundational. So that should be kind of completed first. And then the more advanced courses would be probably going into more of Dr. Morris's teachings, maybe getting into herbs that help with pregnancy. So if you're dealing with a client that is pregnant, what kind of herbs would be beneficial to that client? There are herbs that can help with women that have issues with breastfeeding. So there are herbs that help support breast milk production. So all of this content I hope to make available for students. And if you sign up for the monthly subscription, you'll have access to all of that. So I hope that this overview was beneficial for you. And if any of you have any questions about the course, about anything else, please reach out to me. In addition to offering this course online, I do still offer detoxification specialist sessions. So you can sign up for a consultation with me. I can help you transition to a more healing and cleansing diet. And if we want to add herbs to that, we can. So I typically recommend Dr. Morris's herbs, but there's lots of herbs out there that you can order, and everybody has their preferences, but I think Dr. Morris's herbs are pretty great. I see that there are a couple of questions here. Sarah writes, what does it mean when you lose a lot of weight and your bones in your belly are hurting when you walk? When I touch my belly, I can feel my bones. So did you lose a lot of weight very quickly? So rapid weight loss can sometimes be a little bit stressful on the liver and gallbladder. So that could be something that might be causing belly ache. But you can, when you touch your belly, you can feel your bones. Yeah, that's I would need some more information about that. There could be a variety of things going on. DD is writing, hi Patty, what do you normally eat in a day or over several days? Would be great to hear your diet so we can get some ideas. Well, I pretty much eat fruits and vegetables. That's kind of my foundational diet. I start my morning with a smoothie. Typically, I take those to work with me. That's my puppy. So a couple of my favorite smoothie recipes. I juice some oranges. I have a citrus press. And then I mix that freshly squeezed orange juice with like some mango or pineapple. And I make a smoothie of that. And then, you know, if I'm doing a cleanse, I might add some herbs to that smoothie. Another one of my favorite smoothies, and this is more of kind of a builder, but I love banana-based smoothies. So Loretta Jean. I might mix with my bananas some dates or maybe some cherries. Any kind of berry I think is great. When it gets warmer outside, you know, we're getting closer to the summer. I think frozen fruits can be a fun frozen drink that can be kind of cooling when the summertime rolls around. So I think starting your day with fruit is ideal. I just choose smoothies because it's very easy to transport with me. I apologize. I've got a puppy here. Loretta Jean. My puppy is 5 months old and she acts like a little demon. Come here, sweetie. Come here. Come here. Come here. Let's show everybody Loretta Jean. This is Loretta. She's my 5-month-old little puppy, and I love her. Yeah, she's harassing my other dog. But so fruit is wonderful to start with in the morning. After my fruit-based meal, I typically might have snacks of fruit after that throughout the day, and then you know, when I'm working, I'm just kind of snacking on fruits and drinking my smoothie. I mean, I make a huge, almost full Vitamix full of a smoothie, and it will last me throughout the day. I'm a college professor, so I'm on my feet teaching, writing on the board, working with students. So having a big mug of a smoothie is just really convenient for me. When I come home from work, I typically have a huge green salad. I should have brought my salad. I was just munching on it before making this video. But I just throw in a bunch of greens. I cut up some other veggies. I think in this salad I added some avocado and what else? Sometimes I add some steamed veggies to it just to mix it up a little bit. I make my own salad dressings. One of my favorite salad dressings is just simply taking avocado and some lemon juice or some lime juice, and I squeeze that on the avocado and I massage it into the greens. And it's just a homemade whole food salad dressing. So, you know, those store-bought in plastic container salad dressings often have a lot of additives. And when you're cleansing and detoxifying, you don't want chemicals you can't pronounce in your diet. We're trying to get rid of that stuff, right? So when we're cleansing, we want to get rid of the things that aren't real food molecules. We only want entering our body that which is real. Let's see. Sarah, she writes, yes, she's lost a lot of weight. It's in her right and left bones. Right and left bones of your abdomen. So does it feel like it's in your abdominal region? Like, is it under your rib cage, for instance? Because that could be liver gallbladder related. That's on the right side. On the left side, that could be stomach or spleen. So there's, you know, but again, rapid weight loss has been, rapid weight loss is associated with sometimes gallbladder issues. So you really want to, Loretta, you really need to cleanse the liver and gallbladder when you're doing a detox. So I recommend a liver gallbladder cleanse. There's lots of great cleanses you can do for the liver and gallbladder, by the way. One thing I typically recommend to clients is to get on some good liver supporting herbs. Do that for a month. Include a lot of apples and apple juices into your diet. So that could just be straight up apples, just munching on apples throughout the day, or maybe making green juices where you sweeten it up with some apples and lemon. Those are very cleansing. Malic acid in apples dissolves gallstones. And if you do that for a month, at the end of that month, then you're ready for a good gallbladder cleanse. And there's a lot of great recipes out there that you can probably find online for a liver gallbladder cleanse. I have one that I give to my clients that I'm working with, so I recommend that. But that could be something going on with you, Sarah. So yeah, if it's in your abdominal region, that could be liver gallbladder related. So you know, if you want to sign up for a session with me, you know, we can talk about this in more detail. But if you do have any blockage, you know, if you have any gallbladder issues, they can be serious. So always keep that in mind. You know, if your gallbladder is impacted with gallstones and it becomes inflamed, it could rupture and that could cause internal bleeding. So please keep that in mind. If you have a sharp pain and it's associated with yellowing of your skin, yellowing of the whites of your eyes, that's a medical emergency. You need to go to a medical doctor at that point. But there are ways, if you're getting kind of these red flag types of symptoms that are telling you that perhaps maybe there's something going on there, there are cleanses you can do to help relieve that in a natural way. Brian writes, awesome information, Patty. Thank you for being here today. Well, you're welcome. All right, so any other questions for me? Well, I'm glad that you guys were able to answer a few questions or ask a few questions while I was here with you today. I apologize for the dogs barking in the background. I wasn't really expecting to do kind of like a full on Q&A, but I will be doing these Q&As on the weekends. I don't know which day I'm doing them, but I will be doing them. As far as the coursework, more material is going to be added, but you have more than enough information with the full Human A&P course available as it is. So it's great foundational material, and I highly recommend. I highly recommend it. So Sarah's also writing, it's very tied when I walk. Yeah, I think I might need just some more information on that one, because it's hard to know exactly what's going on. You know, one thing, if possible, when I work with clients, if they've had any blood work, that's always helpful when I'm, you know, working with someone to know kind of what path, what advice to provide. So like for you, I would definitely recommend something like, you know, liver enzymes being tested, maybe even looking at some of the kidney parameters, your BUN, BUN, which stands for blood urea nitrogen, maybe even creatinine, because the kidneys need to flush everything out. But also if your bowels are impacted, you could have some, you know, gallbladder issues just because you're not releasing things and you're reabsorbing a lot of the bile. So there's a lot of things that could be going on there. Courtney writes, thank you. My dog kept tilting his head when yours barked. Oh, sorry about that. My dogs do that a lot whenever I'm listening to people that have dogs in the background. But yeah, I have 2 puppies in my house right now, a 5-month-old puppy and a 1.5-year-old puppy. And they're a hoot. But when I get home from work, they like to play and wrestle, and they were in the backyard. That's why I had to take a pause earlier, because they kept barking. And now that they're in here, they really want my attention. So I'm going to have to go play with them for a while. But Sarah, please, if you do need help, I'm, you know, more than happy to work with you. You can go to my my website, pattyloggernd.com, and you can schedule an appointment with me. I know I'm pretty booked up probably until May, end of May, early June, but I think in June my schedule opens up a little bit. So whenever I have an opening, I would schedule a 2-hour initial consultation. I can do a thorough analysis of your health questionnaire that I will provide to you. I also read the iris. So I do iridology readings where I look at the iris and I look at, your genetic history, your constitution. Are you lymphatically more challenged, or do you have other types of issues that your iris is telling historically what's been going on in your body? So the iris is a non-invasive way to kind of analyze your current state of health and your past issues. So it's a really interesting way to kind of add more information to your body and what's going on with you. So that's always a possibility, Sarah, if you would like some extra help. Yeah, so please go to my website. I can write it into the comments, what my web address is. 1 second. Maybe I can't write it on. Okay, so where am I? So here is my my website. If you are interested in scheduling an appointment, it's just Patty Lager ND, and just go to book a session. And I would recommend the 2-hour. Well, for my first clients, I need a 2-hour initial consultation, and so I just get information from you. And if you have any blood work, if you have anything that your doctor has given you, please send it my way, because that does add to what I could use to help make it the best, or to give the best advice I can for you, what type of detoxification path we should go on, we should embark upon. So, so yes, Sarah, if you need that help, please reach out. If you need to talk to someone sooner, though, because like I said, I am pretty booked for the next few weeks. There are many detoxification specialists. Dr. Morse at his clinic offers detox sessions. You can go to Grapegate, I think, is another website where a lot of detox specialists offer their services. So please try to get some help. And don't wait too long, because if it is liver gallbladder related, there are things you can do to help relieve that congestion in the liver and in the gallbladder. Help get that out of your body. All right, so I'm going to sign off. I need to address my crazy animals right now. And I will post an update about when my live Q&A sessions will be offered. So please keep an eye on that. And I will be making those live Q&As available in video on my private Facebook page, Human A&P for Detox Specialists. So if you sign up for that and you're a serious detoxification specialist student, or someone interested in Dr. Morse's teachings, or just interested in natural health or naturopathic healing modalities or herbology or homeopathy or anything, and you just want more foundational knowledge of how the human body works, please join that Facebook group. I also have my regular Facebook group, which is Patty Lager MD, and I plan to be more active on both of those. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. I need to help my dogs because they're going crazy. Have a great night. Bye.